Swadika, very good evening and welcome to Thai PBS World Tonight. I'm Nad Bunag.
I'm Tulip Nak Sampop Lao.
And today we're going to give you the latest updates on the COVID-19 situation as usual. And unfortunately, we are seeing thousands of new cases as usual, as well as 3 new COVID-19 related deaths recorded today. So today there are 3 more COVID-19 related deaths, raising the death toll to 104. And all of the 3 fatalities were elderly people with diabetes, hypertension, as well as heart disease. The CCSA assistant spokesperson, Dr. Apisamai Sirangsan, announced today that Thailand found also 1,390 new infections, and among them, 293 were found in Bangkok, 197 in Chiang Mai, 98 in Chonburi, and 82 in Samut Prakan province. The new infections today raised the cumulative infections in the news outbreak starting from the beginning of April to around 14,879, while the cumulative total since early last year is now 43,742. And currently, there are around 14,000 people receiving treatment in hospitals and field hospitals. At the same time, Dr. Apisamai also revealed that 146 medics have so far been infected with COVID-19 since the beginning of this news outbreak. And interestingly enough, 33 of them were infected after dealing with infected patients who refused to disclose their timelines. And in light of the recent COVID-19 outbreak in Thailand, many of the provinces have reintroduced mandatory quarantine for travelers from other areas. So according to the Ministry of Interior, a total of 47 provinces have already reimposed a 14-day quarantine on travelers, notably Chiang Mai, Kamphaeng Phet, Tak, Saratburi, Udon Thani, Phang Nga, and the 2 latest provinces that were added to the list are Krabi and Surat Thani.
And because the case is surged 4 digits for several days now, another thing that comes with it is that we will see this circulation of advertisement that they are selling the self-test kit. And now they're already coming out to warn that don't do it yourself at home because it's run the risk of get the result interpretation. Thailand's Food and Drug Administration has advised against the use of commercial rapid antibody test kits to assess immunity after vaccination due to their unreliability and possible false results. FDA Deputy Secretary General Dr. Surachok Pangvivat explained today that the rapid test kits may not be searching for the same antibodies triggered by COVID-19 vaccines, leading to possible false results. He explained that the credible assessment of immunity level after the vaccination must be carried out by medical experts and the tests analyzed in a laboratory using complex equipment. He refuted a widely shared report on social media doubting the efficacy of the Chinese Sinovac vaccine after rapid tests on several inoculated people showed negative results for antibodies. Meanwhile, Dr. Subhagit Sirilak, Director General of the Medical Science Department, said that certain rapid test kits cannot be used to search for antibodies triggered by inoculation. He cited the case of Deputy Public Health Minister Sathit Pitutecha, who was given a test for antibody spike protein at Chulalongkorn Hospital 15 days after he was given the second dose of vaccine and the test was positive. Dr. Subhagit also cited research work in Chile, which shows that the amount of antibodies in those inoculated with the Sinovac vaccine increased 47.8% 14 days after the vaccination and 95.6% after 28 days. He also assured that the Sinovac vaccine is effective in triggering the production of antibodies, adding that similar research is underway in Thailand. A little note though, in other countries, when they talk about Sinovac vaccine, they actually call it CoronaVac. It's a trade name of the Sinovac vaccine.
Right. And In light of the COVID-19 situation, many of the patients have to move to field hospitals, but there has been incidents where people sort of did something really inappropriate. So recently, the Thailand's Disease Control Department has released a set of guidelines and rules for stays in field hospitals. And the rules include bringing your own personal items such as cutlery, toiletries, clothes, towels, and medication. But even though you can bring your own personal items, there are things that you're not allowed to bring in, such as cigarettes, drugs, alcohol, sharp items, as well as gambling equipment. Part of the rules also include that you're not supposed to bring expensive items that are likely to be stolen. For example, expensive watches or anything that is valuable with very high price. No food or drinks from outside are also allowed, as the field hospital will provide them anyway. Patients must also stay in the building at all times and are not allowed to switch or swap beds with anyone. And of course, you have to wear face masks at all times, shower and change your clothes every day for the sake of your hygiene, as well as refraining from eating with others or holding activities in groups. And of course, one of the most important rules here is to keep the place tidy and inform the medical staff immediately if your symptoms get worse. So for example, if you have increased fever or worsening cough.
The thing is, some of this just sound like a common sense. I mean, just sound like something that, yeah, it's like if you feel that you're getting more sick, you feel worse, just tell the authority, or you should shower every day and change every day.
Exactly. Yeah. All of these things are common sense, and this is something that you have to do every day anyway. But for some reason, people just don't even do it. Like, for example, like taking a bath every day. It's like common sense.
There must be some incident that they don't report it in the public that make authority have to really say it out loud to tell people to just shower every day.
Exactly. Or even simple things like putting rubbish in the bin.
Right.
And it's part of the rule as well, when it's actually common sense. If you have rubbish on the table or on your bed, you have to put it in the bin anyway. And this is something that you've always been taught at school.
Right.
And meanwhile, the Crime Suppression Division has also posted a warning on its Facebook page stating that those who secretly take pictures or videos of other patients and publish them on social media without the subject's consent can be prosecuted for invasion of personal privacy. And this post came after a female patient complained about a photo of her being published on social media, and that was taken without her consent. And according to the Computer Crime Act, those who publish photos of other patients in field hospitals on social media, which cause embarrassment or hold them up for ridicule, can be subject to 3 years in prison and or a fine of up to 200,000 baht or both.
And now let's move on to another big agenda. On Friday last week, the Prime Minister did the televised address on the COVID-19 situation in Thailand. And it's something the country needs right now, something to clear up the air, what's happening in Thailand and where are we going and what are we doing. But after the address, there's a lot of criticism about how the Prime Minister communicate the message to the public. So today we have Assistant Professor Dr. Thawida Kamonwet, the Dean of Faculty of Political Science, Thammasat University. She is going to discuss with us about this particular thing, the communication skills of the world leaders. สวัสดีค่ะ
สวัสดีค่ะ
So because we said it's for the world leaders, I don't want to focus just the Prime Minister himself, but before we talk about other leaders, I probably have to ask you, if you have to grade his speech on Friday, let's not do the whole thing for the past.
Actually, if you have me refer to the past, that would give him some score. But when you say that it's only Friday, a score would be really like, from what? From 1 to 10? I would
Or
have given
maybe
him
like the A B C D E
a
F system. How about that?
ABC.
The
Oh my
grading
God,
system.
you asking a university professor to grade A, B, C, D, and I cannot even give him a C because that would go to average. So it's a little bit below then.
Right.
That's too harsh. Only Friday though. Only Friday. Only this Friday. To be fair, to be fair, this grade has a lot to do with expectation too, and the situation around him. If the situation is not this serious, this is we are getting into a very serious situation, and the government hasn't been very clear and communicate very well for the past several days. So you really need a hit on. You really need a very strong and what can I say? You need a leaders that come out not only strong but to create confidence and very showing his empathy on every situation and realize making sense of it what's going on. So it's going to be really harsh on my grade on him on that Friday.
But
Okay,
if
so
you have to compare other world leaders, so let's say these leaders are in your effective communication class. If you have to compare the prime minister with other world leaders such as New Zealand, Singapore, Germany, who would be the top of your class in terms of their communication during this type of crisis?
Oh, definitely. I pretty much, it's not because I am also a woman, no. But yes, of course, I'm pretty much the same as people around the world that witness. I like the way Prime Minister of New Zealand, Jacinda, that is very strong yet mother-like. So basically, you were
right.
talking about also comforting and caring, as well as the message has to be strong. The measure has to be very strict. So that come out very naturally, especially related to her personality. However, it doesn't mean that the other leaders, pretty much like Merkel of Germany, Tsai Ing-wen of Taiwan, or even Lee Hsien Loong of Singapore. But those three people, even though we pretty much don't talk in everything in terms of communication as a communicator, but then the message itself of these three leaders also kind of like choreograph. What can I say? The message fit with their personality. Merkel
Right.
come out very strong, short message, and then keep everyone pretty much in line. Lee Hsien Loong coming out with a very like uncle-like and very loose, very easygoing, and creating nationalism pretty much coming together. So Tsai Ing-wen, she doesn't speak much though, but she spoke throughout her practice and activity that she went around and do things, and she really speak through what she make and get things done, and she did it very well. So the different way of communications actually effective to me too.
So
For
talk about the
the
different
time,
way of the communication. Talk about different way of communication. There must be some strong point of Thai Prime Minister communication skills, right?
Yes, there is a few. First of all, you have to okay. Given that he is a military for all his life, so what's already in him as a characteristic as a personality is he's very um, come out very strong in his personality, and everyone knows how straightforward he could be. So that's personality. It is very natural. However, it has to be under a very cool control of emotion. So basically, his personality already can speak what message that is really straightforward. That can
Right.
be also an advantage of what his personality create, as well as he also have a lot of people loving him, and with that kind of loving him, cheering him up on his side, they already view him that he is a hard worker, and he showed that he sighed a lot on that Friday, though, but actually big sigh. And people kind of like pay sympathy. People know he works hard, so people open-minded actually open their heart and willing to absorb anything that he's already gonna say to them. If the message is really solid and informative enough, that's well said. So he has advantage too.
So what areas can the Prime Minister improve for the next briefing? But I'm pretty sure you think there's got to be a lot of areas that he can improve.
I think his attention to start with. I think especially on Friday, the attention and intention of the prime minister is little off trail. He's actually, on Friday, the nation is waiting for pretty much only one message. What would be next in the future, especially vaccine, especially the situation of this outbreak and everything, whether or not going to be under control, is it going to be dissecting, and then when the vaccine will be distributed, how many vaccines are going to come in, and whether or not private sector can actually jump on it, and how long would that be, how long would the wait would be. So basically, if you asking me, his attention and intention on that Friday supposed to be communicating, talking to the people. It's pretty much to me that on Friday, more than 50% of the message is actually talking back to people who criticize, talking back
Right.
to people who raised the question. It's not a time to do in such a way. You can answer a question with a very informative answer that you have to analyze what's the atmosphere and what the people are looking for, and then solving the criticism, ease up the criticism together with a very good, significant hit on the heart of the people, kind of informative conversation. That's what the attention and intention and focus of the leader is supposed to be on that Friday. So if you ask me next time, regardless his emotion and tiredness, I actually understand that one. All the leaders actually really tired, but then I think he have to focus on that he's communicating to the whole nation, and he
Right.
need them to be united. They are tired as well, and it's been a long time that they're fighting on this one. So he has to speak to their heart that what can be done from the government side, what can be the enforcement that's strictly done, what would be the work that the government would nurture, and not in a way that have people just like participate, joining, united, but you got to tell them what would be the next step and to make sure that happen to them very soon. So I think that the only point that I may ask, that's the only
So
point.
sound like he already has a good base. Of course, he have a lot of supporters. He have a big pool of supporters. His people feel that he is straightforward, and he is assertive. So he already has some good thing to start with. So what he needs to do sound like from what you said that he should just brush off the criticism and straight to the point to answer the question.
Yes, because to the person that has a very strong personality and very straightforward, in this kind of situation, you don't only need strength. You don't only need like straightforward and clear information. You also need to understand what's going on, and you really need to make sense of every segment in the society, and to be able to convince them to participate. You have to also give them what is actually your hard work that you lead on. It's a really thin line, slightly different between complaining, babbling about the hard work, or telling them that hard work that we work together would lead us to where, and what would be the next step that we go together. Make it sound like that and make sure it happened too. Communications is always the last mile. The most important thing is what exactly is the team backstage, what exactly a coordination to measure that is actually be designed, and then understand that that design will be delivered to every segment of the society, then tell them that. I think that's
Right.
pretty much what I think would be a big step to move on.
Right. And recently, there's a statement from a political science expert from Uban University who actually said that the government lost the chance of showing people it can do better because it always think that what it has done is the best for the country. So in your perspective, how much do you agree with this statement?
I agree with this statement that they actually lost the chance. Every time that, in crisis, momentum is really the important thing too, because momentum create what we call synergy, which you really want the society to react and then be united to actually change the behavior and help the nation. So the momentum, when people are await for something to happen, you got to have it. And then because of that, if you think that losing the moment, losing the chance to actually make things better, I would have said yes. But the only thing that I think they have lost from time to time is, we did our best. I still have my hope on that one, that every government would do things good to the people. I still have that hope. And I think a lot of people are really tired and work hard toward the best thing that they can. But in crisis is always something that actually you miss. It's always, because in crisis it's going to be difficult. So you have to think ahead. Then as much as you think ahead based on the data and analysis and listening to everyone and come out and weighting those measures that you have, alternatives that you have. But then when you make decision, it would be a problem. It would be a flaw. Learn from that mistake really quick and don't just do it again. Basically, you can say that you did your best, but you have to know what you missed and then communicate that to, oh, in this part, we really work hard together to achieve in this thing. However, we still have lack of something which the government has to actually work harder on that. And we call for the nation to help us too, because we are at our workload at this time. It's not gonna hurt telling the nation, telling everyone that the best that we did, it still have something that we still miss. And then grab that fault, grab that error, and then correct it as soon as we can. I don't think anyone would mind on that thing, but don't believe that that's the best you can, because I think the government is also lack of foresighting what would be the next negative impact. That one is already we catching up. We are not ahead of time. So yeah, we did our best at time, but we still have a lot to improve. So just say that, and then let's everyone else calling for the help and cooperation together and get things done.
Well, that's all the time we have, Dr. Tawida. It's actually such a big topic. We can spend hours talking on it, but I'm sure we'll have more chance to talk about this topic again. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you.
You too. Thank you ค่ะ
สวัสดีค่ะ
สวัสดีค่ะ
And that is Assistant Professor Dr. Tawida Kamonwet, the Dean of the Faculty of Political Science, Thammasat University. So the doctor said that the Prime Minister already have a good base to start with. He have a big group of supporters. People feel that he is straightforward, he is assertive, and what he needs to do is just brush off the criticism and just straightforward to answer the question and just be sincere of what we have done and what we need to do next.
Exactly. And now let's move on to Empowering Thai Women, where we connect you to amazing women who are successful and influential in their own ways. On this episode, we interviewed Kun Oranut Lertsuwankit, who's the CEO and co-founder of TechSauce, where she will discuss her journey as being the pioneer in promoting and connecting the startup ecosystem in Thailand, as well as discussing about gender equality issues in the Thai startup scene.
Please join us in making positive impact together and making our world a better place. So I would like to recommend the new generation. You should dare to challenge yourself and also take opportunity as much as you can and learn the new things.
Meet Oranut Lertsuwankit, CEO and co-founder of TechSauce Media, a platform that plays a huge role in promoting and connecting the startup ecosystem in Thailand. Oranut came up with the TechSauce company 9 years ago when she noticed that the startup sector in Thailand was growing, but there was nothing to connect them together.
Technology is the key enabler to drive Thailand to be the digital economic country. And one of the key stakeholder to drive this mission is not just only the big corporate, but it is the startup. But in 2012, that I start my own company, we lack the communities, we lack the infrastructure and ecosystem to support this type of the entrepreneur. So I talked to my friend, my co-founder, hey, we should do something together. So this is the reason that why we co-found TechSource as the technology knowledge sharing platform, and also as a community to support tech ecosystem.
With an engineering degree and 12 years of experience working with big telecommunication companies, Autonut has acquired many skills which are essential to entrepreneurs. Her biggest challenge building the startup community in Thailand is to bring all stakeholders to work together on the same page.
The biggest challenge is how to build the startup community together with the other key stakeholders. Frankly speaking, when compared with the other country, we have realized that we still don't have unicorn. When compared with Singapore, there are many unicorn. Indonesia market as well. Hey, we should not. It should not be like a fragmented community, but we should collaborate. And I believe that the collaboration is the key important point. So one of the biggest challenges that I would like to mention is how can we make everyone to have the same vision and work together and collaborate to each other.
Although the Thai startup scene is growing rapidly, it is still a male-dominated sector. Autonut said startup companies led by female founders account for only 10% of approximately 300 to 400 active startups in the country.
Some people ask me that, hey, why we need to have more female founders? What is the reason? Another research that mentioned about the benefit of when you have the female founder is come from the BCG, one of the global research firm. They mentioned that the tech startup company founded or co-founded by women can generate more revenue and can create the market growth. In my opinion, we should not support men versus women attitude, but we should respect the people difference. This is the most important thing, and find out how can we work and how can we collaborate in the tech organization where everyone can contribute to his or her best abilities. This is the most important thing. And I believe that the diversity is the key success factors to drive the company to grow together. And with the diversity, we can increase creativity, we can increase productivity, and at the end can drive the innovation in your organization.
Another way to encourage more women to become leaders is to have more female role models. As challenging as it may sound, Autonut strongly believes it is a good starting point towards gender equality in the tech and startup scene.
One of the missions that TechSource trying to do is we try to increase more female speakers at TechSource Global Summit event, because I believe that when we have the role model, so it can inspire the other female founders to, hey, this is a role model, so we also have the chance, we also have the same opportunity. So to increase the female founder as a role model, as a speaker at the tech conference is one of the things that we can do and can help. Empowering Thai women for me, and also in the context of the tech communities, means creating visibility, creating more exposure for the women in tech. And TechSource as a community builder, we are really strong advocate of gender representation in tech. And one of the key components and the big components of that is seeing more women on stage at a major conference that I have mentioned. So high visibility of women in tech set a great example for the women who would be entrepreneurs or the venture capital seeking role models to look up to. every woman is beautiful in her own way, and you shouldn't sacrifice your passion, your dream, or your personality. Be yourself and believe yourself.
I think there's one quote that I really like from Kun Oronut is that you should never sacrifice your passion for anyone, and you're supposed to do what you really love here.
And that is a very good advice for anyone, not just women, though. That is a good advice for everyone. And that's all the time we have in this edition of Thai PBS World Tonight. It might look a little out of ordinary. We both live from home. It's what everybody do right now. It's an odd year. 2020 is an odd year. 2021 is also going to be another odd year. Well, but if you want to know more about whatever happened in Thailand or in Myanmar, we have special column called Myanmar Report. You can just check out our website on www.thaipbsworld.com.
And that wraps up tonight's edition of Thai PBS World Tonight. Thanks for watching. Stay safe, and we'll see you tomorrow. สวัสดีค่ะ
สวัสดีค่ะ